all that coverage from the big game on Sunday. The game coverage starts at 5, but the shows from Westwood One start at noon. So NFL Preview, NFL Insider, NFL Tailgate Show, NFL Super Sunday Show, and then the pregame show. So lots of talk from Santa Clara coming up on Sunday from Westwood One. Here to talk about that game and more. On the line with us now from the In-Flight Eagles podcast, 100.7 WLEV, the one and only Kevin Crockett. Crockett, how are you this week?
Gentlemen, I'm excellent. One more game to go. Excited for it on Sunday. Can't wait. Got the pizza and the wings already waiting for me. They're thinking about me. I'm thinking about them. We're ready for a big game on Sunday.
Well, before we even get into that one, when we spoke last week, we were talking about possibilities for the Philadelphia Eagles in the passing game and the offensive coordinator position. And no sooner did we hang up with you, and like within 15 minutes, it was announced who the offensive coordinator was. So thoughts on the actual hire of Sean Mannion from Green Bay?
I love it. I thought it was important to get away from just that Indianapolis tie of all those things, as you heard different guys that were possibly connected to that offensive coordinator position. Just with how much, you know, as we've gone through this Nick Sirianni era, how much has he had his hands in on the offense? How much has it been the offensive coordinators? How much of the success has been on offense because of who's been calling plays? How much of it has been the culture and the guy that Nick is there? I love that Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay coaching tree. I love the way that they play a game east to west. They worry about the 53.5 or 53 to third yards that are going east to west. And I think that's one of the big things the Eagles lacked this year is using the field side to side, not just north and south. So I love it. He had a lot of great reviews. It seems like everybody who talked about him coming out of Green Bay felt like they were losing a key piece. I was probably one of the few nerds that was really following along with him, calling plays at the Shrine Bowl, just trying to see what he was all about there and just implementing something a little different. The way that this, you know, you go to that Sean McVay offense and the way that they utilize tight ends and the use of a fullback and how we can get into tight formations because we want to get the spread you out, get you all the way throughout the field. I think that's one of the key things that was missing for the Eagles, the East-West game, not just the North-South game there.
Well, Theo Mannion plays out as the offensive coordinator. Crockett keeping things on the offensive side of the ball, especially with the coaching side of things. Big loss announced yesterday, of course, Jeff Stoutland, longtime offensive line coach, the run game coordinator as well, departing after 13 years of the organization. Just your thoughts on what he did for Philadelphia and how they're going to, try to fill in that gap, replacing such a big loss.
I don't know that you do it easily. That's for sure. You kind of look at the players that have been there. Chip Kelly, probably the best thing that he did was bring Jeff Stoutland in. You talk about Jordan Mailata, a guy who had never played football, all of a sudden becomes, one of the highest paid tackles in the NFL. Obviously, he was there with Lane Johnson from the kickstart of his career coming out of Oklahoma and probably the best player in the first round of that draft. You could probably argue Lane Johnson and potentially a Hall of Famer. Jason Kelsey's come out and said it himself, how important Stout was to him, not only as a person, but as a player, getting him to maximize what his potential was and even going as far as saying he helped minimize the things that we both knew that I couldn't do well. So that's exactly what you want in a coach. It sounds like these guys absolutely loved him off the field for the guy that he was. Off the field, Brandon Brooks, who was with this team when in their first Super Bowl run, had talked about his mental health and how much Stout was there for important for him, and Lane Johnson the same thing. So big shoes to fill, a guy that was a huge part of not only this offense, but this team, this culture, everything, all those words you want to use about important pieces to a franchise. Jeff Stoutland was one of those. Sounds like he's going to be sticking around. Is the team going to come out and try to get to him and be like, we really want you here. What can we offer you? But kind of different reports coming out now about what his ties may still be to Philadelphia, but definitely huge shoes to fill because he was a pretty important guy around here for a long time.
All right, so looking ahead to the big one coming up on Sunday, I started the show by saying my first gut reaction when the matchup was set was, you got to take Seattle, right? But the closer it gets, the more I keep thinking about how they're not that much better than New England. And New England just has found ways to get it done all throughout the year, all throughout the postseason. Am I crazy for thinking New England's really got a shot in this one?
That's who I like in the game. I just love, I love Drake May. I love Drake May coming out of college. He was a UNC product. He was actually, his offensive coordinator was my head coach at LaSalle when I played college football a long, long time ago. So Phil Longo was his offensive coordinator when he was at UNC. So I loved watching UNC games. This kid just makes all the things that you want in a quarterback: the pedigree, the moxie, the savvy, all those words you want to use for when he's got to use his legs, he goes and gets it with his legs. When he sticks a ball in a window that he's got no business throwing it into, but it's the right throw when he makes that throw. Now, what I will say is that's Drake May. From a skill player standpoint, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is the best wide receiver of between the two teams. Kenneth Walker, you could argue, is the best running back between the two teams. So I think that's where the difference is. Can the Patriots, who go through these stretches of looking like they're going to score 34 and then stretches where they look like they're going to score 12, can they find that middle ground? I love Mike Vrabel in this game. This just feels like a Mike Vrabel kind of game to me. Everybody's overlooking us. Everyone wants to talk about Sam Darnold. He's the darling of the Super Bowl. All of these things. I'm with you. I just feel like this is a New England game to me. And so we'll find it all out on Sunday. But the Mike Vrabel element, the Drake May element, the gotta have it moment. I applaud Sam Darnold for finally having a big game in that NFC Championship game. But this is also the Am I Seeing Ghosts New England Patriots, and Mike Vrabel knows that. And so I think he's going to throw everything at him that he can. Can Drake May and the rest of this Patriots offense make the plays when they get the shots? And can they protect the football? Because we know the Seattle defense is great. And we know that they've got the ability to get these shot plays. Is Rashid Shaheed going to have a day? Is Jackson Smith and Jigba going to have a day? We'll have to wait and see. But I'm with you. I think I lean Patriots in this.
Crockett, Tom and I were talking earlier, and I was saying that, my X factor for this game in a way is that, how much are Drake May's legs going to factor into scramble, keep plays alive when things break down, and, help extend drives to the Patriots. I thought their formula was, defensive game, rack up the time of possession. Just, do you have any X factor, either players or, an aspect of the game? I know you were talking about New England's offensive consistency throughout this one, but are there any other areas that stick out to you that have to go one way or the other to decide this thing?
Turnovers. Which team is going to protect the football? It's the obvious statement when you talk about games, but this feels like a close game to me. This feels like that one bad turnover could really change the complexion of this game. I think there are going to be mistakes made on both sides. I heard you guys talking about the odds a little bit earlier and the over-unders on turnovers and all that things. I might have been listening intently to that one as I get ready for the Super Bowl on Sunday, but I think that's the big one. And not only that, but early turnovers, because I think we come back to, again, I want to give Sam Darnold his flowers. I was not a Sam Darnold guy. Didn't know if he could be the guy that could really, turn the page in a big game when the lights were brightest. He comes out with that throw to Rashid Shaheed last week, right off the bat, takes the top off, probably eases himself into that game. The flip side of that, if the Patriots get a turnover, a sack, fumble, an interception on the plus 50 side of the field that sets them up, kind of how does Sam Darnold react from there? And then on the other side of that is, I mentioned all the skill players that are on Seattle. Does New England have enough to overcome if they have an interception or they have a fumble? Do they have enough on the offensive side of the ball to overcome that? So the turnover, you talk about it all the time in football. One of the first things you can look at, turnovers, third down conversion percentage, all those things. It's kind of an easy answer to give. I think it's huge in this game, especially if a couple pop up early.
Talking with Kevin Crockett from the In-Flight Eagles podcast at 100.7 WLEV. All right, let's break this up with the halftime. Your all-time favorite Super Bowl halftime show was what?
Man, I just watched that Prince halftime show the other day, and it was. Listen, I think we love it when all the other people come out, and it's this big thing. Prince playing in the rain was just so gangster. And then you hear all the stuff when NFL Films came out with that performance afterwards and talk about everything that went into it, and you hear the conversations about them being like, Prince, what are we going to do about the rain? And he's like, can you make it rain harder? Who the heck says that? But just everything about that performance, it popped. I don't know where I saw it the other day. It popped up. I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole performance, and there have been great ones, no doubt about it. But man, just the whole that was Prince stealing the show. The pre-press conference that he did where everybody wants to ask him questions and he just played 3 songs for the crowd there for the media that were getting ready to ask him questions. Just everything about that. Prince just took that moment and ran with it. And there were some good ones, and we can have a debate, man, but go watch him play Purple Rain and hit that guitar solo when it actually is raining and tell me you're not like, this dude is just an absolute gangster out here.
I'm with you. I'm not arguing that is the top choice. I was a little annoyed when I saw a recent top 10 list of the greatest halftime performances, and I'm like, how do you not include U2 in the Super Bowl after 9/11?
Yeah,
it still gives me chills.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was just all of the elements of this one, though, like the rain at the Super Bowl and just him just being like, make it rain harder. I don't care. Just give me the guitar. That was it was outstanding. It was so good.
Crockett, I heard you say earlier you got wings and pizza. You're ready for the wings. They're ready for you. Is that your go-to food assortment for every Super Bowl, or do you change it up year to year? How do you go? How do you approach the assortment of food for a Super Bowl?
Buddy, I'm a man of simple tastes. Okay, I don't want to try anything new and exotic on Super Bowl Sunday. That ain't the day to do it. Okay, I'm all about expanding my horizons and my taste buds. Super Bowl Sunday, it's the go-tos. Yeah, it's pizza, it's wings, it's sandwiches, it's all those things. Somebody wants to be like, "Ooh, I'm bringing a pineapple whatever dip." Okay, give me some tortilla chips. I'll try it, but I'm not going to plan my night around that. That's the key. So yeah, it'll be pizza and wings and all that good stuff. I want to be able to sit down and watch the game with old reliable there, pizza and wings, and not be thinking about anything else too much.
I'll tell you a funny story that I've shared on the air with the listeners a few times in the past and mentioned earlier this week. For a good number of years, it's not every year, but it's most years, my wife tends to want to do some kind of menu with an item or two that relate to the cities that are involved in the Super Bowl. So like in years where Kansas City's involved, we might make ribs.
Oh, okay.
Things of that nature. When teams from California are involved, she makes what she calls her In-N-Out dip, like the sauce from In-N-Out Burger as a dip. So it relates to the cities involved. And I will never forget the year the Rams beat the Saints on that, no-call pass interference play. And she got mad. She's like, it's like, dang it. I really wanted to make like a gumbo or jambalaya for the Super Bowl. And I looked at her and I said, you realize you still can, right?
Yeah.
And she looked at me kind of confused. I'm like, there's no Super Bowl food police is going to kick down our door and take it away because the Rams won. I'm like, you want to make it, make it.
Well, listen, Super Bowl Sunday is a day to celebrate all things, right? So if that is part of her Super Bowl Sunday tradition, just as much as I want mine to be pizza and wings, if hers is, I want to follow these two teams and challenge myself to make something excellent, I get it. But yeah, of course, I would have been the one who encouraged the gumbo as well. I would have been right there with you to do it. I could understand her disappointment in the scenario, though, no doubt about it.
I want to give you some of the prop bets that we created for the big game coming up on Sunday that we had with our listeners for our 20th annual prop bet contest, which started last night, finished up tonight. And if they get the pick correct, they get a $50 restaurant gift card. But there's 4 in particular that cross over into other sporting events that I wanted to give you. Like some of the ones are easy ones, not easy, but things like, will the first score of the game be a field goal, touchdown, or safety? The first touchdown of the game, will the person who scored it have an odd number jersey or an even number jersey? That sort of thing. But here's the fun 4 other ones that I came up with.
Okay.
What total will be higher this weekend? Points scored by the Patriots on Sunday or saves made by the Phantoms goalie Saturday?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with there will be more points than saves, but I do think this is a low scoring game, low scoring by like today's NFL standards, a lower scoring game. So I will still think that's more points than saves though.
Okay. Here's the other one. Next one. Higher total this weekend, receiving yards for Jackson Smith and Jigba or points scored by the Lehigh men's basketball team at Holy Cross tomorrow.
Oh, that's a fun one. I think he's a big part of the game plan. I think they've got to find ways to get the ball in his hand. I'll say this. I think if Seattle wins, he would probably be my pick to be the MVP of the game if they were to get it out. So I think he is a big part of whatever Clint Kubiak is trying to figure out for this offense in this game. So I will take Jackson Smith and Jigba in that one.
Okay, two more. Who scores more points on Sunday, the Seahawks or Jalen Brunson against the Celtics?
Ooh, I did say low scoring game. I'll take Jalen Brunson against the Celtics, just because, yeah, I have a hard time believing either of these teams gets high into the 20s in this game, and I think Jalen Brunson can fill it up if he needs to.
All right, last one. This is one we did just earlier. It's the last prop bet that carried over into today. Higher total this weekend, rushing yards for Ramondre Stevenson of the Patriots, or Scotty Scheffler's final round score at the Waste Management Open?
Ooh, just because it's kind of a two-headed monster in that New England backfield, I don't know that I can hang my hat on one particular guy that I expect to lead in rushing yards between Stevenson and Travion. So I will take. You said Scotty Scheffler. Is that who you said?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take Scotty.
Okay. All right. I know they're pretty good because we made him go ooh on every single one. I asked him on that one. But
yeah,
those are the four. We always have some fun and crossover into other sporting events over the course of the weekend. And those are the ones for this year. So we know what you're doing for the game. What's coming up tomorrow and maybe even the next week on WLEV?
I do have to give a quick shout out, if you don't mind. Me and a bunch of our squad are once again going to be shaving our heads for St. Baldrick's Childhood Cancer Research. We're doing that with our friends at Emmaus High School, a bunch of students, teachers, a bunch of people getting together to do that. So we've just kind of put a bow on that thing. That's going to be happening next month. So just want to give some love to that while I can as we get set to shave our heads once again for Childhood Cancer Research with St. Baldrick's. So thank you. I appreciate it, buddy.
You got it. All right. Kevin Crockett, In-Flight Eagles podcast, 100.7 WLEV. Crockett, enjoy the big game. Thanks for coming on with us all throughout the season, and hope to talk to you again sometime soon.
I appreciate you, boys. Pizza and wings, and I'll try your wife's gumbo if she's making it on Sunday, buddy.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing it this year, but that's all right. Thanks, though.
All right, guys. Take care.